Richard, Richard, Richard. I heard my mother calling me with so much venom in her voice. I remained in my hiding place. Where is this idiot? Bastard! Still, I remained in hiding. Then I heard footsteps. They were my mother's. I began to shiver. I knew what to expect when she catch me. Instant and merciless punishment. I had broken one of her ceramic cups while washing the mantleful of plates I have been washing for over an hour. The footsteps got closer. I shivered. My heart began to beat in a sporadic pattern. My pulse increased and beads of tears broke down on my skin. My feet wobbled and shook terribly. I couldn't control the motor movement of my limbs. In that moment, I wish I could be teleported to another planet to avoid the recompassion that was about to befall me. It was not magic but mere intuition. My mother's skin landed on my back before I had a chance to run away from her. She wiped me again and again. Bah! Bo! Bah! Bo! You idiot! You broke my ceramic cup, she shouted at me. I am sorry, Mama. It was an accident. It slipped from my... Shut up, you nitwit, useless child. How can you break my precious cup if you are not the devil himself? The cane landed on me again and again. I cried out loudly, screaming at the top of my voice, but my mother continued to beat me without a trace of mercy. She held me in her iron fist and caned me to the point I realized I was about to collapse. Then my father burst onto the scene and blocked the next stroke of cane from landing on me. She looked at my father with wide eyes and said, "You are the one spoiling this bastard." "No, I'm not. He's just a child of 16 years. Show him some love. It's true he made a mistake by breaking your cup. But just because he broke a cup doesn't mean you should sentence him to everlasting whipping. He made a mistake indeed. Why wouldn't he make a mistake like father, like son?" My mother retorted and stormed out angrily. "I am sorry, son," my father consoled me. "Be very careful next time so that you won't invite unnecessary punishment upon yourself. Who knows, next time she might kill you." My father spoke like that because he was not aware of the countless abuses I had to endure in the house in his absence. In this situation, I was just lucky he was around to save me from the claws of the monster I called my mother. My father is a lecturer at the University of Ghana, Faculty of International Relationship, and my mother was a nurse at 37 Military Hospital. As a teenager growing, I have encountered so many abuses from the woman I called my mother. It was rather ironical. In my own little mind, I thought men are more wicked than women, but my mother seemed to constantly prove my theory wrong. If you cough accidentally in her presence, she will slap you. You made a little noise, she will scream at you. You delay in the washroom for 5 seconds, she will scold you. And if you break something, as had just happened, she will give you 10 strokes of the cane. 1 month later, the house was peaceful. I was beginning to relax. One evening, Ghana Electricity Company caused a power outage. I was in the house, but since I was not prepared for this dumb sore, I didn't have my rechargeable lamp around. I groped in the dark to search for the rechargeable lamp when my feet hit something. I fell headlong and smashed into a mirror. My head was bruised and was badly hurt. Luckily, the lights came on just 5 minutes after the incident. I was shocked when I realized I have broken my mother's mirror she cherished so much. In that moment, I knew I had signed my death warrant. My mother would surely kill me for breaking her mirror. That night, my mother returned from her workplace. She was in a happy mood. I shivered. I knew I was standing on a time bomb waiting to explode. Then I heard my mother entered her room. It took just 3 minutes for her to notice her broken mirror. Then I heard a wild scream, "Richard!" I had prepared for this encounter already. I removed my sandals and took to my heel, just in time to see my mother coming from her room with a knife. She threw the knife at me when she realized I was escaping. It missed me by half an inch. I dashed out from the room, but I heard her saying, "If I don't kill you tonight, then it's not me, Akaswa. That your foolish father Ben will bury you soon." Uncharacteristically, my father came home late that night. The sound of his car was unmistakably loud. I came out from my hideout and met him. He was surprised. "Richard, what are you doing outside?" I was almost teary and find it difficult to talk. It took a lot of energy from within me before I managed to say, "Dad, you need to tell me the truth. Why did Mom hate me so much? She almost stabbed me with a knife because I broke her mirror when the electricity company of Ghana caused a power outage." My father shouted, "What? She almost stabbed you because of a mere mirror?" "Yes, Dad, she almost did," I answered. My father was lost for words, but it was apparent something else was eating him up as we walked into the house to his room. Then my eyes chanced on a picture in my father's hand. I got curious and asked him, "Dad, whose picture is that?" When my son Richard asked me whose picture I was holding, it sent me down the memory lane. I could recall it vividly, though it happened about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I met Akaswa when I visited a cousin of mine at the Divine Touch Hospital. She was a trainee nurse and I took a liking to her. By then, I was doing my doctorate program at Cape Coast. When I finished with my education, I got married to Akaswa. The wedding was full of pomp and flamboyance. Thousands attended the wedding ceremony. Cars were parked at the entrance of the Royal Chapel International as if they were unctioned for sale. The wedding night was awesome. We had bouts and bouts of sex. I remembered myself geared up that night and hit her at the right spots. Sad to say, all my carnality yielded no results. Our happy marriage began to crumble when it was obvious that my wife couldn't conceive. We tried all forms of medications, both herbal and the hospital medications, but all our efforts proved futile. Akaswa became very hostile to me. She didn't care if I eat, sleep, or die. I tried to reason with her, but she became more and more aggressive. At a point in time, I became afraid of my own wife. I have a feeling she wanted to kill me because I questioned her on her involvement with a certain doctor called Vincent. She denied it vehemently and even threatened to kill me if I ever questioned her fidelity again. But secrets don't stay secret for long. She got pregnant for Dr. Vincent. She told me since I'm not man enough to plant a seed in her, my fellow man has been able to achieve that feat. She had no other option than to move on with her life. She packed all her belongings and left me alone with her housemaid, Seka, a modest but beautiful girl from Volta region. Seka proved to be a homemaker. She did virtually everything in the house. In fact, she worked as if her muscles were made of iron. The more we stayed alone in the house, the closer we got. The law of attraction began to work. After all, what do you expect to happen when a woman leaves her matrimonial home for a maid servant who was twice as beautiful as her? One day, I returned from my bathroom nude and was applying some pomade on my body when my door swung open, and guess who materialized through the door? It was Seka. I knew the stage was set for the inevitable event that was supposed to have happened long ago. "Sir, I know I shouldn't have barged in on you like this, but over the years, I've come to realize that women like Madame Akaswa don't deserve men like you." She stood by the entrance of the door, gazing at my naked body. "Can I come in?" Seka asked. It was just a mere formality. Before I could decide whether to allow her in or not, she came in, closed the door, and moved closer to me. She held my hands and pulled my body closer to hers. She started giggling when she looked at my face. I know you like me too, but you are just trying to be principled. Sika, I love you, but I am married to. Please stop. Stop it. She cut me off. In case you have forgotten, she's pregnant for another man. Your marriage is gone. I'm here to make you happy. Stop pretending and let's enjoy it. I can't, I cut in. Sika looked at me surprised. She stood up and left. She was sad. I felt sorry for her. The next day, Sika left me. She went back to her village in the Volta region. She left before I woke up. It was from the letter she wrote down before leaving that I got to know she left to her hometown. Luckily, she left her phone number and address down. I didn't bother to call her. I hired another housemaid. Unfortunately, she was not as hardworking as Sika. Within 2 months, I fired her. I was beginning to miss Sika. I realized I loved her more than I thought. Quickly, I took her phone number from the letter she wrote down and called her. Hello, Sika. Please, who is this? Sika replied. Sika, can't you recognize my voice? No, I can't. I'm sorry. This is a wrong number, she said. No, Sika. Don't do this to me. It's Mr. Ben Kuma. You used to be my housemaid in Accra. Okay, I got it. So why are you calling me now? Sika retorted. I want you to come back. I am sorry, sir. I can't. Before I could utter another word, her line went dead. 2 weeks later after the call, Sika returned to the house. I was so elated. Staying in the house alone was like being in prison. Sometimes, it takes the absence of certain people in our lives to appreciate their presence. It takes loneliness to appreciate companionship. I welcomed her with open arms. It was a default action. She rushed into my arms like a daughter who had missed her father for 100 years. We hugged. I kissed her. She looked surprised but responded by giving me a more passionate kiss. Without saying another word, I carried her to the bedroom. We connected eventually, sending a sporadic wave of pleasure running concurrently through our bodies like electrical currents, not willing to be disconnected anytime soon. After that night, the next month, the inevitable happened. She got pregnant. I was quite happy. I was going to be a father. But underneath my joy, I have a feeling something bad was about to happen. The following week, my wife returned home. I was expecting to see her baby, but there was none. She later explained to me that her child died just 2 hours after delivering him. Dr. Vincent was very angry with her and even called her a witch. He threw her out of his house, telling her to go back to her impotent husband. I felt pity for her and I accepted her back to her matrimonial home. Technically, she was still my wife, since I have not divorced her when she got pregnant for the doctor. I told her Sika, our housemaid, was pregnant for me too. She looked shocked, but didn't say a word. I knew she was planning something evil. Sika knew her stay in the house was dangerous. Once again, she ran away from the house. About a year later, we woke up early in the morning to meet the cry of a baby. I opened my door only to see a 3-month-old baby in a basket in front of my door. I took it in and handed it over to my wife. There was a letter attached to the baby. It was from Sika. Dear Ben, words cannot express how I feel right now. I just want you to know that my love for you is priceless. I cannot erase the sweet moments we shared together. It was deeply etched into the secret recesses of my memory. It broke my heart to leave you when your wife arrived. But I can't stay in your house with your wife. But remember, I am with you in the spirit, and I'm sure you have seen the fruit of our love. I put him at your doorstep. Your love, Sika. I cried when I read her letter. I hid the letter from my wife. To her, the baby was a gift from God, since she had not been able to conceive any child again after the first one. She took very good care of the child until she chanced on the very letter I had hidden from her over the years. She grew very bitter with me and the child. It was at that point that she hated Richard. Dad, talk to me. Whose picture is that you are holding? My son brought my memory back from the memory lane. I woke my father from his reverie. He said, "My son, the woman in this picture is your mother. Her name is Sika. I am sorry I kept this from you all this while." I was angry at my father from keeping that secret from me and also cheating on my mother, Akaswa. "But Dad, why did you cheat on her?" Now she is angry with me because she sees me as a bastard and the evidence of your infidelity. No wonder she hated me so much. My father said, "Son, don't be in a hurry to conclude. It might interest you to know that she cheated on me first." "How, father?" I asked. "It's a long story, but listen." "I will tell you," my father said, and began recounting his story. He said it all started 20 years ago. He met Akaswa when he visited a cousin of his at the Divine Touch Hospital. I listened with rapid attention until he finished telling me the whole story. After recounting the story to me, I felt sorry for him. I also admired him for having such a forgiving heart to still accommodate a woman who got pregnant for another man, left him and stayed with the adulterer for close to a year, only to come back empty-handed. Honestly, I don't know what I could have done in such a critical situation. My heart melted for my father. Though Akaswa, the woman I had come to know as my mother, maltreated me, I still love her. She was the only mother I knew. For the mirror I broke, my father saved me that night from being killed by Akaswa. With anger, she traveled without telling any one of us where she went or when she would be back. 2 weeks later, we received the shock of our lives as the news of Akaswa involved in a fatal accident got to us. One of the things found in her bag was a bottle of poison. What she had wanted to use it for was unknown, but I guess she wanted to poison my father and I so as to take over his properties. But nature has its own way of meting out punishment to the evil ones. She was buried after a short funeral ceremony. Something else happened at the ceremony. I saw a woman staring at me curiously. I stared back at her. Then my mind went back to the picture I saw my father holding when I went to his room to explain why I was outside the house when he returned from work. Involuntarily, I shouted, "Mother!" I ran towards her and she also ran towards me saying, "My son, I miss you so much." The tears in her eyes began to flow ceaselessly as we remained in a hugging position. My father was at my back. Guess what? He was smiling at his wife's funeral. Sika, my real mother, returned back to Mr. Ben's house. My father helped her further her education. She became a science teacher in Accra Academy. After graduating from the university, he got married to her. They had their second child named Ima. The family lived happily ever after. An evil person is like a dirty window. They never let the light shine through. Thank you for watching till the end. Please like, share, comment and subscribe to support and help the channel grow. And also don't forget to turn on the notification bell for the next upload. Thank you very much.